What is up, boys and ghouls? Welcome back to the Horror Feed. I'm Jeff, the master of ceremonies. This one over here, she's the hostess with the mostest. Her name is
Bethany.
Welcome to part dos of Halloween Worst to Best. If you've watched part 1 already, first off, thank you very much. We fucking appreciate it. Secondly, welcome to part 2. You've made it. Yay!
Woo!
For anybody who is joining in who has not watched part 1 yet, please get off this video, go down there, watch part 1, and then come back and join us so you can watch part 2, because this is where we get into the top 5. Cinco. The top cinco. Okay? So, I hope y'all are ready. It's going to be fun. We are going to finish this strong again. Halloween, worst to best, just like in the last video. Spoilers.
We're going to talk about each one. So, yeah.
If for some reason you have not seen any of these, yeah, just spoilers. Go watch the movies and then come back. Yeah, let's jump into it. We're going to go ahead and start off. We are in the top 5, boils and ghouls. The top 5. Coming in at number 5, Beth, take it away.
Okay, so at number 5, and Jeff will explain more on this, but at number 5, we have Halloween 2.
Are your folks home?
They are gone. My dad had to take my Aunt Ruby to Hardin County, and my mother decided to go along.
Didn't you hear?
Hear about what?
Some girl got killed in Haddonfield. It's on the radio.
Hold on.
And the police have cordoned off the entire area. To repeat, 3 teenagers have been found murdered in a house in the northwest section of Haddonfield. The names of the teenagers have not been released.
I can't believe it.
I know. You know, we probably knew her.
Where did it happen?
Down on Orange Grove.
That's right down the street.
I know.
Police confirmed the girl was rescued as she
Sally, I can hear the sirens coming.
They said the guy got away.
Do they know who it was?
No.
Oh, God.
Alice?
Not been identified.
Alice?
The name of the psychiatrist has not been
What's wrong?
released. Haddonfield police have
Alice?
put out an all-points bulletin with a description.
Who is it?
Blockades
Alice?
have been set up on
Where are
all
you?
the main streets in town.
Who is it?
Gary Hunt of the Haddonfield Police Department says he believes the suspect will be apprehended within a matter of hours. Neighbors say they heard screams during the early evening, but attributed the noise to the usual Halloween.
The original Halloween 2, not 2018. And this is going to get a lot of controversy. It really is, because Halloween 2 is a favorite to most fucking people. It's one of my favorites. Don't get me wrong. I really enjoyed the movie. It's just that, and like we've talked about this, me and Beth, we've talked about this off camera. It's not as memorable as some of these other movies. You know, like there are definitely, and we're going to keep with the whole theme. We're going to talk about good things first, and then get into the bad, and then try to end it on a good note. But so with this movie, the most memorable thing, and the thing that I love the most about this movie, well, one of the things I love most about this movie, I'll save the best part for last. One of the kills is, it's a brutal kill. It's an amazing kill. And it's when Michael pretty much boils the nurse in the therapy bath. Like that kill is fucking like, holy shit, that hurts me even just looking at it. And like, I know you love it for your own reasons, so go ahead.
Yes, that's one of my favorite death scenes in this movie too, and it's because I love how they did how every time they pulled her up, it was worse. So they did it in phases. It made it more believable. It wasn't just like, okay, down, and now her face is melted off. It was like, in, okay, pink, in, okay, she has more burning off, in, more burning off. And that whole way they did that was fun. Like it made it more believable. And it's a brutal scene. And you could imagine that. You could kind of feel it a little bit.
Definitely agree. It is a brutal kill, and it's one of the best in the series. Honestly, it's probably like in the top 5, definitely in the top 10, but probably in the top 5 as far as kills go. And I mean, not only that, but The only thing I've always wondered, and I always joke about it, is like, what the fuck happened to his, like, nothing happens to his hands.
Right.
Her skin's getting peeled off by layers and shit, and his hands are coming up just fine. Like, no
Yeah.
big deal. Maybe he has a really high threshold for pain or something, or I don't know. Really thick skin there, Michael. But other than that, like, the other kills in this movie, while they are a bit innovative, and if you watch the last video, we talk about how in Halloween 5, Michael was pretty innovative with the way he killed people, because it wasn't just with a butcher knife. Like, he used a bunch of different things. I think you only see, and I actually stand corrected, he did kill one person with a butcher knife in part 5, and it was Tina. He does stab Tina with a butcher knife. So I was wrong. He did get one person. But just this, it's just not that memorable. Like, that's what you remember. You remember that, and you remember the ending. And then you remember what I'm going to mention later, because it's fucking funny. But it's just not that memorable, I mean, the only other really good thing about this that I can think of right now is the surprise finger in the butt, which, for those who don't realize, that's when he stabs the nurse in the back with the scalpel. Like, that became a big fucking meme for surprise finger in the butt, because her fucking expression and everything else. So, like, that's awesome too. Editor, go ahead and show that clip right here, please.
Lori! Lori, wait. Wait, Lori!
I mean, look at that. Come on. Surprise finger in the butt. Like, it's awesome. And, but this movie, going into the bad now, and I'm going to let Bethany take it away here in a second, but getting into the bad, one of the things that I don't like about this movie is this is technically, in my opinion, this is when they first mention the Celtic festival of Samhain and all that shit, which eventually that's what leads up to the whole, thorn curse. And so,
and we all know how Jeff feels about origin stories.
Yeah, and I mean, even Beth, like, she said it too. The whole cursed thorn thing's kind of like, eh.
It's very cheesy. I can't get into it. It's not working for me.
Exactly. Other than that, like,
well, one of the negatives I have is because I do kind of like what you were saying, and the other one is whenever they find out that Lori is the sister, that they're siblings, and so it is a lot creepier to think that he just started going after her because she stood on his porch. Like, that is really creepy. That's really scary. So when you start adding, like, oh, there's this, now that's his sister, and he has to kill everybody in his family, and again, origin story because of a curse, and so on and so forth.
Exactly. And that bothers me too, and then in the televised version of it, it shows it even more in depth, and it's kind of like, ugh. But there's not a lot of bad to this movie. That's the thing. I don't want you guys to get upset with us or try hunting us down like Frankenstein or anything, because we don't get us wrong. We love this movie for what it is. We really do. Okay. There's more good to talk about than there is bad. It's just that it's not as memorable as other Halloweens, especially the last 4 on this list.
It's not as fast paced either. It runs a little slower. It's a little harder to get through. They have a lot of drawn out scenes, so it is what it is.
Exactly. And like, one thing that I love about it, I'll go back to another positive. I love the hospital setting. I really fucking do. The hospital setting, this movie made me afraid of hospitals, because like, that was like, when I was a little kid, that was a fear I had, is like, man, what if, like, I'm gonna be in this hospital and it's gonna be damn near empty and killer gonna come get my ass. I mean, as I grew up, I realized that hospitals are nowhere near that fucking empty ever.
I
But-
know that was one thing we were always laughing about with my husband and I when we watched it. We were laughing because it's like, when have you ever seen a hospital that empty?
right? And so there's like, there's just it's just little things, but it has
It has
decent
a
kills.
lot of fun. It has a lot of fun. It has a lot of positives. Like, okay, so the trick or treater Michael Myers getting hit by the car,
Big Tramer.
and then it was Ben Tramer. Like, come on, that's funny. That's comical.
That is, who would have thought that Ben Tramer and Michael Myers had the same fashion sense? And that's the one that Lori liked, no less.
Yes.
She likes Ben Tramer.
So I like how they kind of
Liked.
threw that little bit in there, which is good because it leaves the opening for the other guy. But I just thought that was funny. He gets hit by a car, and it was a pretty
Sets on
extreme
fire.
scene. Yeah, and then you find out it was Ben Tramer.
And it's kind of funny that Ben Tramer in a Michael Myers getup dies in a fire, and we'll get to that part later. But another favorite scene of mine. This probably is my favorite scene. Well, my second favorite scene in Halloween, and it's not even a kill technically. I'm wearing the shirt for it. If you guys look, it's Michael Myers with 6 bullet holes in him. I love that. I shot him 6 times. I shot him in the heart. He's not human. Like, I love that whole thing. Like, oh my God, I say that all the time, okay? All the fucking time. Like, I love that whole sequence. I think it's fucking hilarious. Easily my favorite Loomis quote of all time. And so that's another great thing,
So let's talk about the syringe in the eyeball with the doctor. There's just, oh man, don't be messing with the eyes. So that scene gets to you because it's sticking out right there.
Yeah, I have a thing about my eyes. That scene is definitely, again, it's a creepy little scene. The lighting in that whole scene is what I love. The lighting sets the mood. The lighting, and then when the nurse reveals it, and then you see it, and it has that shit in the eyeball.
Yeah, that's not right. That's not right. Good scene.
And then Michael pulls a Halloween 1, and he appears behind her through the shadows, and then he fucking gets her with a syringe, air bubble in the freaking temple. I mean, that's pretty badass too. Like, the kills aren't horrible. Some of them are definitely memorable. It's just, it's very slow paced. It's very focused on other things, and that's why it's kind of where it is on the list. But it also has one of the best endings. It doesn't have the best ending. I still think that goes to H2O, but this definitely has one of the best endings in the franchise, because that whole Loomis get on ya, that whole sequence of fucking Laurie shooting Michael in the eyes, and then Loomis setting up all the fucking gas things or the oxygen leaks, and then fucking blowing up him and Michael.
Yeah, the big boom.
Yeah,
Bye boom.
That's fucking amazing. And again, just like I mentioned earlier with Ben Tramer being on fire, it's funny because so is Michael.
And you know what? That is a really nice scene too, because while he's walking on fire and he's walking down the hall, like, it's just a really beautiful scene.
It is. It's a creepy ass scene too, and then you're like, holy shit, this motherfucker's still going, and then he finally collapses. But
so one of the scenes that really stood out to me in Halloween 2, and this one, I have a thing for blood, big bloody scenes. So when they walk in the room and they were bleeding out the nurse, and there's just blood all over the floor.
Oh, yeah.
Like, with the lighting they did it, how it was just like right on her and the puddle of blood, like the lighting they did on that, it just looked really beautiful. And then they, just big pile of blood, and then he trips in it. He just slips in it, and then bam, and you could hear it. You could hear everything. So that's a really good scene in the movie too. It is a really good movie. It's just in comparison to some of the other ones, it's a little more of a slower paced movie.
Exactly, and we're going to go ahead and leave it at that. Again, on a high note, and we're going to go ahead and go right into number 4. Number 4, which is kind of funny, kind of ironic. This has happened a few times on the part 1. Number 4 is Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers.
Brady!
No.
Rachel!
Brady!
Get up there, Rachel!
Brady, come with us!
Go!
No, Brady!
Go!
God, there is some bad to say about this, but there's a lot of good to say about it as well. Starting off with something good, because you know, can't do that. The whole opening scene, I fucking love it. It is probably the most Halloween vibe opening scene in a Halloween franchise. How it starts off, you know, in like this deserted place and like almost like a farm or some shit, you know, and it's like dusk and it just has very Halloween vibes to it. Like not Halloween movie, but like Halloween the holiday. It just has those kind of vibes, and then it picks up from there to where they're going to to Smith's Grove and picking up Michael and all that. I'm pretty sure it's Smith's Groves they go to. It was either that or Warren County Sanitarium, some shit like that. It was one of them. But they go, you know, they're going there to pick up Michael, and they just like the raining and the thunder and the fucking that whole scene is just badass, and it's well shot. And so obviously, I'm gonna say that's definitely a plus of this movie. What about you, Beth? What would you say is a good plus?
Oh, I have a lot actually. So, Danielle Harris.
The introduction.
That is just awesome as Jamie Lloyd. So she is amazing. She did an amazing job in this movie, in my opinion. And it's one of the movies that I remember most because it was one of the ones I grew up watching a lot because they showed this movie frequently. And, you know, it's just, that's when I became a huge Danielle Harris fan. So that started that.
I agree. Like I said, this is her first movie. She did a great job. I love that little scene where she goes, "Whoever you are, I have a really big dog and he bites." Like, you're a smart kid. Like, she's smart enough to like say something like that, you know? Like, and that's the kind of character she just is in that movie. She's a smart character, you know, for a little kid, man. Like, you got to picture that shit was scary to do.
Well, you know what? Those kids in there, the kids at the school, like,
the bullies.
Yes, like who bullies like that? Like, ouch. You know,
Right?
haha, your parents are dead. Ha ha ha. Like that's
Jamie's mommy's a mummy. Like, you fucking little
what?
bastard! I would have punched him in the head.
Right? I was just like, okay, like, you know, I can understand, oh, okay, weird kid or this happened, but you're like, oh wow, she's an orphan. Yeah, that's hilarious, really funny. So,
Right?
you know, I didn't dig those scenes because I don't know. Are kids that really that cruel?
Sometimes they
Can
were.
they be?
There's times, man, when I was a little kid, before I actually started standing up for myself, I used to get bullied all the time when I was in elementary school. So my mom told me, you start whooping their ass, and then every time somebody bullied me, I just beat them up.
And then they stop. And then they stop. That's
bullying
it.
me.
End of story.
But yeah, and then it's funny because even those kids, like in the movie, they have like a slight change of character when they see her in her clown costume, and they're all like befriending her. Hey, you want to come trick or treat with us? And she's like, yeah, sure, you know. So it's kind of cool to see even those little pricks have like a little bit of character development and inviting her into their little circle to go trick or treat.
Mm-hmm.
And then another positive about this movie, okay, before we start jumping into negative and then going back to positive, I just want to give a huge ass shout out to fucking Rachel. Okay, Rachel, we talk character development at the beginning of the movie, through the middle to the end. She has a pretty damn good character development, and I really enjoy Rachel's character. Like, I thought she was awesome. And, you know, I hate the way, we already talked about it in part 1, I hate the way they did her dirty in Halloween 5. I thought that was fucked up. She should have went out better later in the movie or something. kill Tina first and then kill her later.
You would have
But-
thought. You would have thought.
Right? Something. But just Rachel is an awesome character, man. Like she was trying to protect Jamie, even though at one point she wanted to go to the fucking discount mart to see Brady and, you know, all that bullshit.
Oh yeah, threw her temper tantrum because she
Yeah,
wanted a date.
Yeah, about not seeing Brady and all that shit. But in general, like you see her, that's the character that she was, and then you see her go and like showing concern for Jamie and just all that crap. And then near the end, where she gets on that truck and she's like, "Die, you son of a bitch," you know, and fucking tries hitting Michael and he fucking flies. Like just some cool shit. It's a cool little character development, and they could have done it in 2 movies. You know, they could have really stuck with it in that second movie and kept it going in part 5.
Yeah.
Instead of doing what they did. But in general, she was a good character in part 4. I really enjoyed her. Now going on into the bad, and we'll talk about this. You know some of it. I'll start with some of it too. The main bad thing that I have about this movie, like, it's not. I mean, it is. I'm just gonna say the mask. The mask wasn't that great. It really wasn't. Like, don't get me wrong. It is better than Halloween 5. It's definitely better than the 90% of what they used in H2O with the different fucking masks, the CGI mask, and all that other shit. But this mask was just very all. It looked like fucking Data from Star Trek. And I love Star Trek: The Next Generation, but like that's one of my big gripes. What about you?
You know what? Really can't think of much right now for that.
Then I
Like,
got
I
another.
really kind of dig this movie. I guess it's just the nostalgia. Like, I can't really. It's the one I used to watch a lot, so can't really think of anything negative on it. I mean, you know, it's a sequel, so it's always going to be less than the original. It's always going to be less than some of the other ones. Like, that's just it is the way it is. But out of all the sequels, I dig this one.
Yeah. The only other bad thing that I can really think of, there's 2 actually. There's 2 minor bad things. One, so I love Dick Warlock. Okay, I really do, and I think it was Dick Warlock that played Michael in 4. I think it might be wrong. Whoever the fuck it was that played Michael in 4, because Warlock could have played him in 2 or something, and I'm getting them mixed up. But the guy who played Michael in part 4 was way too stiff. He really was. He is really stiff, like very, you know, like when you see him get shot, he's just like, and even when he walks over to Buck,
We need to put
his
music behind that.
Like,
That was awesome.
boom, boom, boom. And then just like when he meets Buck or Bucky, whatever the hell his name was, the electrician, how he walks over to him, you know, and then is very stiff with how he handles everything. So that's one of my issues. But it's cool is that this guy, and we will be talking about him later on in the video, he is technically the first man up until recently. He is the first man to play Michael Myers 2 times. And we will discuss that later on, and I will explain why. But, you know, since him, yeah, it was like Tyler Mane did it twice and all that shit, but we don't count the zombie ones. That's like a separate continuity, so it's like a remake. But the only other really bad thing about this is this honestly is probably the worst thing about this movie is the one scene, just one scene, when they're in the school and we see that pink mask with the white hair.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I remember that now.
Yeah, it was one scene. I don't know why they did it. I think they like were having issues with something, or they couldn't find a proper mask, so they went with that one real quick. And they kept it in. They could have bloopered it out, or they could have done something with it, but they decided to keep it in. And I mean, that's a bad scene. Like that mask is fucking horrendous.
Easter looking Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Okay,
Like,
I'm gonna have to agree with you there. I forgot about the pink mask.
If Michael Myers and the Easter Bunny had sex, that's the mask you would get.
That's the mask they would, yeah, right there.
And but other than that, let's go back into the good, because there is a lot of good about this fucking movie. Okay, some of the kills let's just jump into that real quick. Some of the fucking kills are bad fucking ass. Okay, bad fucking ass. Bethany, go ahead and start with one of your favorite kills.
Okay, so my favorite out of this whole movie is when Michael Myers kills Kelly and he stabs her with the rifle. That is awesome. That is my favorite scene out of this movie. And she stays there.
Yep.
So it goes back to kind of like the whole Bob thing, but
It's a Bob thing.
he comes out and he's holding the rifle and you're expecting, a shoot. That's what everybody would expect. And no, he stabs her with it and then hangs her up on the wall. So that's my favorite scene throughout that whole movie.
Another Bob tribute. You can't go wrong. A lot of these movies have a Bob tribute. And that, again, that makes my soda fizzle. So, very happy with that. Another great kill scene. Kind of going along with that, okay? I love at the beginning when he fucking thumb to the head of that doctor. Just shoves his thumb in his head. And it's like, oh! Like, how the fuck you do that? That's a strong-ass thumb. I'm surprised that nurse from part 2 didn't die with that much fucking force.
I know, right?
But, like, that scene is just gruesome. I love it. Gnarly as fuck. And then, again, Brady, okay? Like, Grady, I think it's Grady or Brady, one of the two. It's either G or B. But, even he's fucking awesome in that movie. Like, at first he's a little dick. He cheats on Rachel and all that crap. You kind of want to see him die.
Yeah. I mean, it was a fun little storyline they did. She goes trick-or-treating with Jamie, and she sees him over there. And then starts the whole drama. Oh, and then how awkward it is for them to land up there.
Right? And then
so, yeah.
Kelly was a bitch, man. She's like, wise up to what men need, Rachel, or he won't be the last man you lose to a girl. She's like, have some coffee. Boom.
Right? So, yeah, I love that scene, but that's why it made the stabbing scene so satisfying.
It really did. It really did. And then even with Grady, okay? Oh, Grady, whatever the fuck. Later on in the movie, like near the end of it, when he's trying to protect Rachel and he's trying to protect Jamie, looks like he's going to blast Michael. Gun gets jammed up. He tries hitting Michael. He's actually trying to fight him. And then that kill right there when Michael just like fucking picks him up. Mm-hmm. And you hear his neck crunching and it's fucking like, it's like, ooh, love it. Kind of was like, okay, he's being a good guy right now, but at the end, fucker deserved it, so.
No, that's what happens. Keep it in your pants, buddy.
And then another great part of this movie, man, even though it's like really stupid and like a quick part with the whole Reverend Sayer or whatever his name is, from Dumont County. I fucking love that guy. When he's in there, he's like, oh, you hunting him, ain't you? And he's with that whole dialogue with him and Loomis. Yeah, and he's like, oh, you're a pilgrim. I saw him back clear as day. And I was like, just that little old guy is awesome, and then him and Loomis drink together.
Well, Loomis is fun in this. Like, when he was starting to like lose his shit whenever there was the prank Michael Myers, so he's looking like, there he is, and he's ready just to shoot. And then there's another one. There's like 5 of them, and he's just like looking around, like, what the hell, And then they kind of laugh and run off, and you're like, well, I'm glad he didn't shoot, but there'd be another poor random Michael 2. Myers.
I know, because like in part 2, Loomis made that same mistake because he thought Tramer was him.
I know, poor Ben Tramer.
Right? So at least Loomis didn't make the mistake this time.
Well, yeah, so you had 5 of them, and I don't know why, but I always found that scene funny, and then they run off laughing. I'm like, oh, you don't even know. You almost just died right there.
Right? And then another great Loomis scene, and it's not just Loomis, but in general, when Loomis and, who is it? It's not Brackett, it's Meeker, Sheriff Meeker. When Loomis and Meeker are talking and they go over to the police station and there's no police there, and then the lynch mob comes, the hillbillies.
Oh, yeah, the good boys.
Yeah, the good boys who are trying to go hunt Michael. And then when Loomis says, Michael's returned, and they all go after him, and then fucking Meeker's like, you just started a lynch mob. You haven't got the police force! Like, it's like, fucking, hey, man, Loomis straight up told you what's up. Like, yeah, damn right I did. But
then they land up killing their buddy.
Oh yeah, they got Ted Hollister. God damn it. Um, but like honestly, and then those guys like, and then that also raises a question. Okay, how the fuck? So in H2O, Michael is up on that fucking beam or whatever, and you don't see him, and then he comes down right behind Lori. And in this one, they're all driving in a fucking pickup truck, and there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 in the back,
Yeah.
and then Rachel and Jamie and the main guy Earl in the fucking front. Where the fuck is Michael? Like, how the fuck? There's no way he has that much upper body strength where he's like holding on to like the fucking axle or something at the bottom of that truck for dear fucking mercy, hoping his ass doesn't fall off.
Apparently he does, because you see it in H2O.
Right? It's like man, I give Michael Myers some credit. That's why he's taking slugs. He ain't supernatural. He's just that fucking stuff. Like, he's strong. He built like a meat mountain. So, like, but that scene too, like, that's a really cool scene because it's a fucking freaky scene. You don't expect it. And the next thing you know, he's fucking killing everybody. But no, there's not a lot of bad to say about Halloween 4. It is definitely a nostalgia ride.
Yeah.
Just like Beth said, you know, we grew up watching this like over and over. This is like that movie that you could go to Blockbuster and it was always there because they had so many fucking copies of it, as well as another one that we're going to be mentioning next. But yeah, I was going to say H2O. Halloween 4 is just awesome. It really is. It's nostalgia, even though there are some things that aren't great with it, which happens. It's still just an awesome fucking movie, and that's why it's where it's at on this list, and it fucking deserves to be a number 4. And if anybody disagrees, well,
Let us know.
right?
Put it in the comments. Tell us we suck, whatever.
So now we're getting into the top 3, and I don't have a whole lot of bad to say about this next movie. Coming in at number 3 is my personal favorite.
Yeah, he's going to probably take a lot of the lead on this one.
And it is Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. There's so much. She didn't even believe me at first until I had to like give her the rundown on why I have it where I have it.
I did, and I'm pretty sure that a lot of you guys are going to feel the same, because I was like, well, I don't know if it should be that high on our list. And he made a good case. So hear him out and see if you agree.
So the big thing about this movie, okay, in part 2, or in part 1, this is part 2. In part 1, you guys heard me talk about how I love Tyler Mane, right? How savage he is, how vicious of a Michael Myers he is, okay? And I said he was one of the most savage Michael Myers in the series. The reason why he's not number 1 is because of this Michael Myers. Halloween 6's Michael Myers, who's also played by the same guy who played Michael Myers in part 4. So, a little fun fact for you guys. The guy who was Michael in part 4 came back in part 6 and did Michael again. the savagery is it's fucking amazing. Okay, in my opinion, out of the best kills in the franchise, it has at least the top two, because I still think number one we'll talk about later on, but we've already talked about it plenty of times throughout. But like one of the greatest kills in this movie, and you don't get to see it in the producer's cut, which is why I'm not that much. One of the reasons why I'm not that much of a fan of the producer's cut. In the theatrical cut, the whole hospital scene, okay, near the end where he's going in there walking and he picks up the butcher knife and then he sets it down and grabs like the really big fucking like machete almost knife and goes in there and just slaughters with the strobe lights and just fucking slaughters all of those fucking doctors, man. Like, holy shit. That shit was savage. And
Yeah, it was a
just going
room full. It was a
out.
room full of people. And you just hear the going on the glass, everything.
Exactly. Blood and fucking guts and ass everywhere. And it's just like, it was savage as fuck. And that's not the only savage kill in this movie, which is fucking awesome. Because, like, there's the dickhead dad, John or whatever his name is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
His punk ass gets blown up. Yeah, that was kind of a bit far-fetched.
No, but it was fun seeing because he
'cause
was
he's a
such
dick.
a jerk. So I found that scene satisfying. So he was. I hated his character so much.
Yeah, he was a prick. And so seeing him explode, I fucking loved it. Even the axe to the mom, you know, that again, that's a really awesome fucking scene. We don't see him like cutting her head up or anything, but we know what happens, you know.
Yeah, we
When you
know what
see-
happens. And I like that scene because, like I said in the last little bit, I like blood scenes. I always thought it was really cool when the movies did that. So all over the white sheets.
Exactly.
You know, it just splatters all over. It's a really well shot scene.
Yeah, it's awesome. And then but we'll get into a little bit of the bad real quick because I want to save some more good for later.
Yeah.
One of the things that I don't like about this movie, and it's not much. It's honestly not much, but you guys should already know what the fuck I'm gonna say. Okay, I don't like the Curse of Thorn. I don't like that whole thing, and like
The whole
I
cult
follow-
storyline, the
yeah,
cult people, even when you find out, oh, they're part of the
And
cult,
they're all
and they're part of the
doctors.
cult, and they're a part of the cult, and it's just, I don't like that either. It's cheesy. It wasn't good.
exactly. And in the producer's cut, it's even worse. Like I like the producer's cut for what it is. It's a different version of the movie, but it's even worse in there. Okay, so like in this one, yeah, they talk about the thorn curse and how Michael has it, yada yada yada.
The
But, like,
stars aligning a certain way
Yeah.
that makes the mark that
So
we're
when
introduced to.
Yeah, so like when it appears, he appears, and like all that shit. But at the same time, like in the producer's cut, they actually use runes to stop Michael. Like there's no beatdown scene, which we'll talk about later, or none of these other really awesome scenes that happen. They literally just put runes around Michael and it stops him. And it's like, really? Like I'm a follower of Norse paganism. I have runes like right across from me. And even I was just like, no, I don't like that. I really don't like that. I don't think that's enough justice, you know, for Michael, the way it happens. Even in the producer's cut, just how the whole Loomis thing ends bothers me. Because then the curse passes on to Loomis, and he winds up having the thorn tattoo or whatever on him. And Michael like walks away in the sunset, dressed as the Man in Black. And I don't like that. I really don't like that.
Maybe for a different movie,
Yeah.
you have an interesting storyline that people would get into, but for a Halloween movie, it just wasn't working.
Yeah, and that's honestly my really big gripe, that whole thing. And that also includes the Man in Black who's Dr. Wynn.
Mm-hmm.
And
it's
all
funny
of that.
because that was predictable too.
Yeah.
Like everybody saw that coming.
Yeah, and it bothers me. And I don't know. Like in the producer's cut, it's less obvious that it's him. But, it's kind of just like, why are they bringing in Dr. Wynn all of a sudden? What's going on with this? And they use the Man in Black too much because Danny, the little kid, They're trying to get him to be like the next Michael Myers. They want him
Yeah,
to like,
and see, that one bothered me because there you go again with the hearing voices, the weird psychic connection. You know, the lady confirming it because again, you have to
oh yeah,
share.
Mrs. Blink
Yeah,
and shit.
confirming it. Oh, she hears just like Michael heard, and like it's just you don't have to say that. We already got it when we were hearing the voices in his head and him whining throughout the whole movie that these voices are telling him, to do bad things and whatnot. So I'm like, okay, we didn't need the confirmation, but thanks, lady.
Yeah, exactly. And in the producer's cut, there's a scene where in the theatrical cut, it's there too when he has the knife after the dad, um, when John hits his mom, and the
Yeah.
little kid pulls out a knife and like holds the knife to his gut like he's about to stab his ass. In the producer's cut, it actually like it's the man in black. Like he hears the man in black say "kill" for him, and then that's when he does the knife scene. So I was like, okay,
No,
that kind of takes away from him just wanting to defend his mom.
yeah,
You
like it
know,
kind of kills the scene and goes more into the let me like explain this story to you to death type deal.
exactly. And that's honestly the real bad about this movie. That is. Other than that, everything is awesome. Like the kills in this are pretty fucking amazing.
Ooh, can I talk
Um,
about Jamie's death?
of course you can. Go for it.
Okay,
Go. Talk.
so I'm going. So
Andale.
so Jamie's death, that one was a fun one because it was farming equipment, right?
Yeah, it was like like a corn thresher or like a hay thresher or something like that.
Yeah, because
It
it
was
had
like a corn thresher.
yeah, and it had like the three blades on it. So she goes on that, right? And you're like, okay, this is it. She's gone. And she reaches out for him, like he reached out for her in one of the past movies. So she reaches out for him, and he looks like they look like they're having a moment, and then he pushes her further
Psych,
down
bitch.
into it. So you're just like, oh, that's messed up. Then turns the machine on.
Right?
So
You thought
all
it
those
was
blades
her.
start rotating. Yeah, you thought it was it. You're like, okay, that's messed up. And then he goes and turns it on and just walks away like nothing. And you just see all of the blades rotating.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right. It is a little more brutal. So see, he won me over with that because he
Yeah,
is
it's
a lot more brutal in this one.
and then we've been talking about a few of the masks. We talk about it in part 4 in H2O, the lack thereof in Zombies 2 and all that bullshit. But I want to take a minute to appreciate the fuck out of this mask. Okay, this mask is just there's something about it that is just like, ugh, man. Like, it's good. It's a good mask. Like, it's fucking. It fits that Michael. Like the way his body shape looks and everything else. It really fits Michael, and it looks good. You can see the absence of the eyes again, which is a really big factor for me. I don't like really seeing Michael's eyes. I like it being blacked out. And seeing that is just dope as shit. The mask is one of the best, honestly. It's in the top 3, top 4 as far as the best masks in the franchise easily. Um, and then another death I want to mention because we've mentioned the whole, the Bob death scenes, and even this one has its own version of a Bob death, and it's at the beginning of the movie when he grabs the nurse and picks her up and then slams her head on the fucking spike that's just in the middle of a hospital hallway for some reason, and just hangs her up like a fucking Halloween decoration, and does again. He steps back, tilts the head, like, oh my god, another tribute to the whole Bob death, and that's just awesome because that is the best death ever, and we will talk about that later. But I love that. I love it. Like, I even I like the soundtrack to an extent. I don't like parts of it, like the grungy rock music in it kind of started wearing on me and I started liking it. But in the producer's cut, they're actually using more of the score, like, the Halloween vibes type score.
Mm-hmm.
And so I give the producer cut definitely credit for that, compared to like the different rock songs and stuff, the grunge songs that they were trying to use more in the theatrical version. But I still like it. Another cool death that I know you enjoy happened during the Halloween party. Go ahead and
Yay! Okay, so it's the aftermath of his death, but whenever the little kid finds Barry Sims, like the really douchey radio personality person.
Hey,
And
Barry kicks ass. That's what the shirt says.
Nah. You're walking around in his underwear. But anyway, so he like up in a tree and you have this little kid, and this little kid is like, it's raining. Look, it's raining red. And you have this like little kid not even realizing, I don't know how they don't realize, but dancing around in the dude's blood.
Oh, yeah.
And she's just like spinning around and dancing around in his blood. I mean, that's a good
warm.
scene. I love that scene. And then,
Definitely
of course, he
agree.
falls out the tree, and you realize, oh, okay, it was that guy. And again, it was satisfying because you're like, okay, yeah, I don't like this dude. I can't wait till Michael gets him.
Right? But yeah, man, there's not a lot of bad to say about this movie. Curse, like I said, is my personal favorite in the franchise.
And Tommy, because of
Tommy
they
Doyle.
bring Tommy Doyle back too. So and then
Paul
freaking
Rudd's
Ant-Man.
first movie. Paul Rudd's first fucking movie, and I love Paul Rudd. Like, look, guys, I'm even wearing like I've already shown you guys the hat, but this is the Curse of Michael Myers hat from Spencer's of all fucking places. But yeah, like I absolutely love this movie. I don't have a Curse shirt yet, so I had to wear the hat. But it's too awesome of a movie. It really is. Like, I love the brutality. I love that Michael's just like no holds fucking barred in this. He's actually frightening. Like, that's the Michael that I'd be fucking terrified if he was coming after me. I'd probably piss and shit myself because, no. And that's why it rates so high up on our list. That's why it's at the 3 spot, is because this gave us the most savage Michael we have ever seen to that date. Up until that time, this was the most savage Michael Myers, and they made up for part 4 with some robotic ways and shit, and they definitely made up for part 5. And so that's why I love part 6, and it's a very underrated movie in the Halloween franchise, and it deserves more love. It deserves all the love. But with that said, now we're going to get in. We're in the top 2. Coming in at number 2, which should not be a surprise to any of you guys if you've been paying attention to these lists.
Mm-hmm.
Part 2 is Halloween 2018.
Mom. Grandmother? Grandmother?
It's the one that pretty much eradicates everything aside from the first one, the original Halloween. I need you to take this one away because I have a lot of good to say about it. So you go ahead and start.
So they weren't siblings in this one, so we definitely like that. Just straight out creepy Michael Myers being crazy. The way they shot it is really well. Like the lighting was really good. You have this eerie darkness to it, which definitely love it. It's a little cleaner because it's new, so it doesn't have that grit in it like the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre or the original Halloween even, but it does have a lot of that really cool blue tones in it that just makes it all feel creepy. And Laurie is a huge badass in this movie.
Oh, hell yes.
Like I love her character in this movie. I love what they did with that, how the direction they went with it. Yeah, so she was still a little bit like, okay, it was like H2O with the whole drinking thing to an extreme. She was a little more like psycho, but she was more badass in this movie than she was in H2O.
Definitely, she was prepared. She was prepared in this movie. unlike in H2O, you know, that version of her, she's just really paranoid and she's scared. But
Mhm.
in this one, it's not like her paranoia is her survival instinct because she knew while everybody else is trying to tell her that Michael Myers is gone, he's locked up for the rest of his days, all this other shit. She was like, she straight up says there's one line in the movie where she said, "He's been waiting for me, I've been waiting for him." Like it's just so fucking badass. Like she has been preparing for this day for 40 fucking years. She has been waiting and training and setting her entire house up to be a booby trap for Michael. Like it's insane, but I fucking love it. This is why I will always say, okay, Laurie Strode, as far as Survivor girls go, and we've already talked about this in a video that we did the other week, I definitely think she's like one of the best. She's in the top two. She really is. Just like we talked about, it's between her and Sidney Prescott, like both of them, because Sidney Prescott in those movies, like we discussed, like she's never fucking lost. You know, she's never died. She's never anything. She's always gotten better and better and better in those movies. And the only reason why I put her slightly above Laurie Strode is just because, depending on how you look at it, you know, Laurie Strode faked her death to get away from him because she was scared shitless, and then, you know, still scared shitless of him in H2O until the end, and then is completely stupid in Resurrection and gets killed. So I'm happy that this movie came out and completely eradicates all that
Yes,
bullshit.
yes, because she was a complete badass in this movie.
And this is the Laurie Strode. Like, you want to talk character development? Look no fucking further than this movie. From that first movie, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, to this movie. This is that character development. And it's amazing. I cannot speak highly enough about it. Another great thing about this movie, okay? I love um, I love the opening scene, the whole opening scene with the whole, you know, say something and holding the mask up, and Michael feels it. Like you can tell he like twitches because he knows it's there, and all the other loonies acting crazy and like they're all just like freaking out over this. Like that whole scene, like it feels like a mental hospital. Trust me, I know. And so like it
That
feels,
guy annoyed me. I'm like, really? You're gonna antagonize Michael Myers? Really?
yeah, like that part was annoying, but that's why his kill was so fucking refreshing when it
Satisfying, yes.
happens. Is
Because it's like
because
that's what you get.
yeah,
That's what you
exactly.
get. Look what
You
you
wanted the
started.
monster? Here you go.
Yeah, that was funny. So,
Yeah,
but the walking through each house.
right? That whole tracking sequence. This might be my favorite thing about the movie, honestly. The tracking sequence where he goes, kills one lady with the hammer, and then grabs a knife, goes through, sees the baby, completely ignores the baby, walks out, and then goes to another house, and then goes, and this is where a little bit of CGI comes in. You know, we talked about really shitty CGI in H2O. In this one, there is a little CGI, like when he stabs her, that whole little scene right there with the knife coming out, that was CGI, but not as bad as H2O with that fucking mask. Um, but, you know, even then, that whole scene is just shot beautifully. That is just an incredible fucking scene. Like that entire thing is just like, oh my god, man. Like I don't know. Like I don't have a lot of bad to say about this movie. I mean,
I really don't. It's one of my favorites now. Thank you for showing me.
I introduced her to this movie literally a year ago, like last year, and today it's like it's funny because they never saw it, and we were at a Halloween party that I was throwing, and I was like, okay, well we're fucking watching it, so like I put it on, and yeah, the rest is history.
It's history. It is though. It's a really good movie. I know we were talking about before in one of the past videos about the daughter,
Yeah,
Laurie's
she's
daughter, and how she's very annoying and whiny and
until like the very fucking end.
but see, I liked that because then it was just like, well, one, you could tell that she wasn't mad at her mom anymore because exactly what she prepared her daughter for happened. So she was like, oh, we're here now. So, I do like that transition scene when she's down there and she's like, I can't get it. And she's crying and, doing all of that
Psych.
bit. And then, yeah, I do really like that scene. And I think you know, I think in the next movie she's going to be an extremely better character than she was in this movie. Because the whole time it was just, you know, she was bitter and angry at her mom, and she was like, "Oh, you're projecting all of your fears on me," and you know, I guess it makes sense. I thought she was a little more whiny about it, but yeah, it makes sense. But when it happened, then she's like, "Oh, you know, my bad."
Like, son of a bitch, she was right. You know, and then like I agree, I like that scene because then when Michael actually appears, she's like, "Gotcha," and then fucking nails him, and then Laurie pulls a Michael Myers and comes out of the shadows and fucking shanks his ass, and just
There's a
that
lot
whole
of fun with that.
that whole scene's awesome. But now getting off the awesome for a quick minute until we get back into it. I absolutely fucking hate Zartan. I really do. I did not like Dr. Zartan or Zartan or whatever the fuck his name is. I
But I
don't
think
like.
that's what it was meant to be. I think you were supposed to not like him because he's not Loomis.
Yeah,
You know,
exactly.
he's not meant to be Loomis, even though she was like, "Oh, you're the new Loomis." But then I think that's why it went the direction it is, because there's like, no, he's not. He's just another asshole we threw in here.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I love his death though. I love when Michael fucking squashes his head like a pumpkin. Um, so I definitely like his death. I just don't like him. I hate how they killed the sheriff off as quickly as they did too. Like, I kind of liked him. You know, that would have been cool to see him in Halloween. In Halloween Kills. Like, I think it would be cool to bring him back. Kill him then if you want to, but you know, at least try to bring him back for at least one more movie. Oh, excuse me. I don't like the boyfriend.
Oh, yeah.
I don't like him. You know, I don't even remember
Where
his
he's
name.
sitting there, where he's sitting there talking to the other chick at the dance.
Yeah, and kisses her, and then you know,
Well,
it's
and
like,
then, well, you know what? Her friend wasn't any better either because, you know,
oh,
he
the
was
little
sitting there. Yeah.
devil. Yeah, his
So,
death though was awesome. You know, again,
yeah.
another awesome death. That whole scene where they're in that backyard and there's the motion sensor lights, and then like the lights go off, and then he comes back and he's like, "Oh shit!" And then Michael like keeps moving towards him, and then not only that, but that music, okay. And we're gonna play it for you here, editor. I want you to go ahead and play this.
Oscar, come on.
Please, dear God! Please! Help me! Help me! Help me! Please help me!
Oscar.
The music right after that, when the daughter finds her friend laying there, and there's just that badass riff, okay, just that burn, like just like, oh my god, like I love the Halloween thing, like I love the scores, and this score, like you guys are hearing it right now, like this score was from John Carpenter and his son, so the Carpenters made this score, and like just holy shit, man, like you want to talk about the best score in Halloween aside from the original, this is it. Like this score is just like goddamn. It's so good. Like I said, there's not a lot of bad to say about this movie. The mask is fucking on point. I believe they said this was one of the Shatner masks technically. So, you know, mask is fucking on point, looks great. A lot of the deaths, the majority of the deaths were awesome. You know, we get to see Michael kill a kid, which, you know, in this day and age is really risky and shit like that. But like, the kid had a fucking shotgun on him. Of course, Michael's gonna kill him. He was in danger of his life. I mean, come on. He didn't kill the baby.
Yeah,
Baby's not gonna do nothing. But and this kid wasn't a kid. He was like at least 14, 15 years old. So it's okay, I guess. It's kind of justified. But yeah, man, like there's
you know, when we were always talking about like being stuck on the wall and the Bob scenes and stuff, so with the Dave knife through the neck on the wall, so we get that again.
Yep. Again, another Bob tribute, which I love. That is Michael's signature kill. And this one, he was actually pinned face first to the wall instead of the other way. But again, it's an awesome kill. And then, speaking of Dave and all that, I want to actually talk about that scene prior. That little black kid, Julian or whatever his name is, I fucking love him. He is awesome. He's one of the best parts of that movie. He's like, you should be having me in bed. Instead, I'm here clipping my nasty ass toenails. Just fucking going off on her, man. Like, I love that kid. That kid was awesome as hell. And even the chick who played the babysitter, I really liked her. I really did. I wish they would have kept her alive, honestly. I wouldn't mind have seen her in like one more movie because she was very kind of Laurie Strode-ish, just not as pure, I guess.
Mhm.
But she was a good babysitter. You know, she was messing around with the kid, joking with him, checking under the closet and shit for him like he asked and all that. Like, I liked her character for the most part, you know. I mean, and then we got Ghost Bob again, but instead of Ghost Bob, it was her with the little freaking sheet draped on her and everything else, holding a pumpkin. Like, I love Michael. I really do. You can tell he loves Halloween. He enjoys his work. It's just like I forgot to mention it, but in Curse, like I love when they're running from after that hospital kill and they're all running and he has like a little skip to his step, like he's all happy, like I'm gonna kill you. Like you can just tell he enjoys what he does. And in this one too, he gets very festive. He decorates.
Yeah.
So that's why 2018 is where it's at, and for a lot of people, this might be lower. A lot of people probably agree with us. 2018 was just really fucking well done. This was a Halloween movie that I had been waiting to see, and I was excited. So,
And we
thank
do. We
you.
like this one. We like this one a lot. So, I mean, let us know if you agree or not, you know, down there. If you like this movie, where you would place it on your ranking list and so on and so forth, because we're interested. We're curious to see what you guys say.
Definitely. And with that said, we're going to do a quick rundown real quick because we are at number 1.
You do the rundown.
So, coming in at number 11, the absolute worst shit show of the shit shows, Halloween Resurrection. Coming in at number 10, Rob Zombie's Halloween, not 1, but 2. Coming in at number 9, Halloween 5. Coming in at number 8, Halloween 3. Yes, it is a Halloween movie, Season of the Witch. Coming in at oh my god, I lost count. Number 7. Coming in at number 7 is Halloween 7, aka Halloween H2O. Coming in at number 6 will be Rob Zombie's Halloween, the first one, the good one, minus the first 30 minutes. Coming in at number 5 is Halloween 2, the original. Coming in at number 4 is Halloween 4. Coming in at number 3, Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, the best. Coming in at number 2, Halloween 2018. Drumroll, please. Coming in at number 1. If you guys haven't a fucking clue for some reason, Halloween 78, the OG Halloween, the best of the best.
Okay, come on out.
Halloween, the night he came home.
Obviously it's number 1. It has to be.
Duh.
You know, big surprise. Holy crap. But definitely the best, guys. This movie started it all. And I don't mean started it all for the Halloween franchise, okay? This is the definitive slasher movie. I am a firm believer that if this movie was never created, if John Carpenter never made Halloween 1978, we would not have a lot of the movies that we have right now. We wouldn't have the Friday the 13th. we might not even have the Nightmare on Elm Streets if it wasn't for John Carpenter making this movie. Did Texas Chainsaw come out before it? Technically, yes. Is Texas Chainsaw considered a slasher? A slasher from back then? No, I don't consider the original Texas Chainsaw a real slasher movie. Okay, and I love Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You guys have seen the video. We've talked about Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But Halloween 78, in my opinion, like this just, it started it all. It's not even my opinion, it's a fact. Like this started everything. And John Carpenter, with the tiny ass little budget that he had, made one of the most iconic movies in history. Not just for a slasher movie or a horror movie, but just in general. You know, this is the first time we really get the killer's POV with a lot of shit. And this is one of the movies that, like Beth pointed it out to me, that there's no blood. You hear it, but you don't ever see it. Like, that's fucking masterful. How can you do that? Like, how can you make a horror movie like this and have no fucking blood, man? Like, it's insane. And, like, just, you talk about some of your favorite stuff.
Okay, so my favorite, I mean, first of all, the reason why it's at top, come on, John Carpenter. That has to be a top bit right there. And then, you know, some of the actresses that were in it, like Jamie Lee Curtis for Laurie Strode, which, you know, Jeff loves as the final girl. So I'm sure a lot of you do. I'm sure she's a top one. And then one of my favorite actresses that I love her to death, PJ Souls.
Totally.
You got PJ Souls in there. I love her character. So my top thing with this movie, and has always been my top thing for this movie, is the beginning scene. So the intro scene where they, you know, you have the point of view shot going to all throughout, going with the sister and everything like that. And then, you know, the first time you watch it, you don't know what it is. You don't know it's Michael Myers. You don't know the story. So you're watching this whole thing going on and you're like, wow, this looks like a really cool movie. And then they go outside and take the mask off and you're like, oh my gosh, it was a freaking kid. It was a kid. So, you know, obviously, you know, you only get that excited the first time you watch it because then you know. But it was an awesome scene, and that was the scene that sucked so many people into this franchise.
It definitely is. And then not just talking about the scene, but like let's take a minute again to appreciate the score, okay? John Carpenter made a phenomenal score that set the tone for this movie, for this franchise. Like when you hear that song play at the beginning of the movie, right there, you know this song. You've heard this song, even if you've never seen a Halloween movie. You know this song, and it's just brilliant. No matter how you look at it, man, John Carpenter went all fucking out. And then going back into scenes and like kills and stuff, like I'm going to mention it because I have to. We've mentioned it through so many videos or so many of the other picks so far. The Bob kill, in my opinion, this is the best kill in the entire franchise. Like, there's a lot of kills that I love, that I've talked about, that I think are some of the best kills. Top 2 best kills. The Halloween scene in part 6 where he fucking kills everybody in the hospital. Or just like all the other scenes that we've discussed. You know, there are amazing fucking kills in this franchise. But this kill, it's so fucking iconic because literally you've seen it in so many more of the Halloween movies. Always different variations of it. It's very like, that's one strong ass butcher knife first off. But I love it, man. I love what they did with it. It's a very awesome, and that's when we first get the head tilt, you know, and then we get Ghost Bob or Ghost Michael.
Yes, that one's my favorite. That's my favorite. I want to get the little Ghost Bob figure because I love Ghost Bob.
I know, like, it's hilarious because it's Michael Myers. You know, again, he has a flair for the festivities. You know, he's dressing up like a fucking ghost.
He definitely has a sense of humor with the glasses and everything. Like, I love Ghost Bob.
He takes the time to cut holes in the sheet the whole nine. Like, he's like, fuck yeah, this is Halloween, homie. You know, and like, I love that. Like, I love just seeing that. And another thing that I love, and I got to give this to 2018 real quick. The attention to detail that 2018 has, okay? They have a lot of detail Like when he gets stabbed in the original movie, the one like, when he gets stabbed in 2018, they have that hole, and then when he gets stabbed in the eye with the coat hanger, they have his eye fucked up, and those are really awesome. You know, like those right there are fucking cool. And another nod to 2018. I'm really pissed I forgot about it. Just all the different nods they did. You know what I mean? Like they fucking tribute to Halloween 4, tribute to Halloween 3. But, you know, I just had to throw that in there real quick because I completely forgot about it. And somebody's bound to mention it. So I'm throwing it in there real quick. But coming back to this, you know, like some of the kills, again, like these kills in this movie, you don't see them a lot, you know, but they're impactful still.
What I like about this movie is that it's well shot. Like I said, you know, with the point of view one, I know I was talking about 2018 with the lighting. Like this one has that same thing. It has that same creepiness, the eeriness, but it also has, you know, the grittiness to it that I enjoy because you're like, yeah, we're getting ready for this. So the film where the part where he is stalking behind the bush, you know, and he's just standing there and he's just staring at her. That is a friggin' awesome scene. And then he disappears, you know, and then they're like just joking and going off because, you know, no threat around them. Yep. But that just like how he lurks behind the stuff. It's really well shot scenes. And then the Judith Myers gravestone.
Yes.
With Annie laid out on the bed, and you have the candles, you have the gravestone right there. Like that's a really like good looking scene. It is. And like you said, Michael Myers has a little bit of the flair for the arts there. Has her all sprawled out, everything.
He does. And then another really iconic scene going off with the lighting, like Bethany's mentioning. There's that scene where Laurie's just like laying there and she's all freaking out because she just found her friend's dead. And then there's like that blackness, and then all of a sudden just you see Michael's face fucking appear. And we talked about that about 2018 when Laurie does it. And that's not the only time she pulls a Michael too. You know, that's just one of the times she pulls a Michael. But in like that scene is from this movie because Michael, you know, just appears and it's just the mask. And it's just like, oh my God, man. Like great fucking lighting, great scene.
And they have a lot of those, like even with when they're in the bedroom and she's in the hallway and he's in the back, you know, and they think, okay, now he's dead. And then he just sits up, you know, with those core muscles, because I couldn't do that, but he just sits straight up and then just like turns to her. Yeah. That is an awesome scene and creepy.
Straight up pulls an Undertaker. That's how the Undertaker got that whole sit up thing from, was Michael Myers. Wrestling reference for those who don't know. But yeah, like I just,
who doesn't, even if you don't watch wrestling though, who doesn't know who the Undertaker is?
But yeah, it's so good. And like there's another tracking shot that I really love where Tommy Doyle's like getting ready to leave school and he has a pumpkin, and the bullies in that movie trip him over and say how the boogeyman's coming to get him and everything. And then one of the bullies, he's like running and he runs into Michael, and Michael just like stops him and grabs him and then lets him go. And then there's that tracking shot where Michael's watching Tommy go across the school, and then Michael just starts walking with him, you know, on the outer skirts, and just like, that's so fucking good. Like the tracking shots they did, like again, like there's nothing bad to say about this movie, honestly.
No, it's well shot.
Yeah, this is the one Halloween movie where there's, in my opinion, nothing bad to say, because everything is just so fucking good. And I love it, man. I love all the characters. I love, you know, Laurie doesn't really get a whole lot of character development in this movie because she's pretty much the same character, which I don't necessarily mind, okay? I don't mind that she's the same character throughout the entire movie, you know? Just at first she doesn't believe in the boogeyman, and then come at the end, when she asks, was it the boogeyman? I believe it was. Like, yeah, you know, her character development comes later, but...
Well, and then and there you go. You brought up the accent, Loomis. Loomis is a fun character. He is so freaking extreme, but it adds that extra to it because it's like, okay, who's actually crazy here, Michael or his doctor?
It's a coin flip. But like, I love Loomis, and this is our introduction. Just like every other character, this is the introduction. And Donald Pleasance he's a gem. Like, I fucking love Donald Pleasance, and he was amazing in this movie. I love the opening scene with him when they're going to the mental hospital, and then they're all out and about, and then you see Michael jump on top of the fucking car, and then like swing his hand and fucking break the glass and everything. It's like, damn, man, like holy shit, this is who we get to deal with right now.
We taught Michael to drive.
Like, for Christ's sakes, he doesn't even know how to drive. He was doing very well last night. Somebody gave him lessons.
I do. I really like Loomis, and I like his progression throughout the movies. Like, he does. He gets a little bit more and more crazy each movie, except for, I think, Curse, to be honest, because in that one, he just, like, he's laughing. He's like, no, just retired, you know.
Right, he's done.
Yeah, so, but he was, like, getting crazier and crazier each movie. I love Loomis. He's funny.
Yeah, and again, I mean, we have to talk about the mask too. Like, this mask is iconic. You know, this mask is the reason for the other masks. The William Shatner mask. It's really cool. Like, I love the story behind it. How it's just a Shatner mask that they like painted up and shit. And
yeah, it's really creative. You know, when you
creepy.
really think about that, that is really freaking creative.
It is. It's creative and it's creepy as fuck, and I love it. There's nothing bad to say. But I'm trying to find something, but I can't find anything. Like, I really can't. Like, I love it all. Like, this movie, you guys know. Okay, we've been doing this channel for almost a fucking year, and you guys have heard me talk multiple times about how much I love Halloween as a franchise, and I do. And like, I am thankful for John Carpenter and Deborah Hill for this movie. I really am, because like I said earlier, I really do believe that if it wasn't for this movie, we wouldn't have a lot of the shit we have right now. We wouldn't have some great sequels, some not so great sequels, and you know, we wouldn't have this badass character in Laurie Strode, and a great killer in Michael, and Donald Pleasance being the badass as Loomis, and that's why it's on this list. It's why it's the top spot. I mean, this is obvious. Everybody should have known it was coming. Like, theatrically, the best shot movie in Halloween is the new one, but as far as just in general, it's always going to be. I like to consider Halloween the Michael Jordan of the franchise. Yeah, there's Kobe's, yeah, there's LeBron's and other people, but MJ the GOAT. And that's how I feel about MM. Double M's the GOAT. And that's all I have to say. What about you, Beth? Do you have anything else left to say to the lovely people?
No, I think both of us together covered a good chunk of it.
Yay!
Yay! Can I have snacks now?
Right, snacks.
Snacks.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, happy Halloween. Like, this is the greatest holiday ever. And I want you guys to stay safe out there. Enjoy the fuck out of it. Go trick-or-treating. Just like I said in part 1, do not take that away from the kids. Be safe about it, obviously. If any of you guys are in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and know who I am and where I live, I'm handing out candy. But yeah, guys, just stay safe out there. I hope you have enjoyed this 2-part video, Halloween Worst to Best. I had a blast talking about it and going through all of these movies that I love so fucking much.
Jeff, come on, snacks.
She wants snacks. It's funny. Keep eating. We're gonna do a video of her just eating now.
Okay, you know what? I am. Talk over my chewing. How about it?
But yeah, guys, just thank you again. This is a fun video. You know, Beth is going to town over there. It's funny too. She's in the spirit of Halloween. She's eating chocolate. It was chocolate pretzel, so it's okay. It's in the spirit of Halloween. For the Horror Fiend, I am Jeff. That one right there is Bethany. Peace.
Bye, guys.
Happy Halloween.